Today, we're not just going to read some ancient text. Nope, we're going to build it in our minds, scene by scene, so it becomes totally unforgettable. We're about to step onto the shaking ground at the foot of Mount Sinai to hear the 10 rules that literally shaped the world. So let's jump right in.
Okay, I want you to imagine this for a second. Actually feel the ground trembling beneath your feet. The air is super thick with smoke, and you can smell that ozone smell from lightning. You look up, and the mountain is just on fire, but it's not burning up. And right from the heart of that fire, a voice starts to boom, a voice that feels like thunder inside your own chest.
So before a single rule is given, the voice first has to answer the two most important questions, right? Who is speaking, and why on earth should anyone listen? This intro, it's everything. Let's go verse by verse here. Verse 1, and God spoke all these words. Just picture these powerful sound waves you can actually see rolling down the mountain and washing over everyone. This isn't a whisper, it's like a creative force. Now verse 2, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. To really get this, imagine thick, heavy iron shackles on the wrists of millions of people. And then in an instant, they just shatter into dust. See, the voice isn't a lawmaker first. He's a rescuer. This whole thing starts with freedom.
So with that identity set in stone, I am the one who set you free, the voice then lays out the blueprint for how to live in that freedom. These are the 10 core principles, and we're going to walk through them one by one.
All right, here we are at verse 3, the very first rule. To lock this one in your mind, picture a single, magnificent golden throne. It's standing all by itself in this huge, empty hall, and it's lit by a single beam of light from above. This rule is all about the ultimate priority. It's basically saying this one throne is the only one that's real. Any others you could dream up, they're just shadows. Okay, this next bit covers 3 verses, so let's build the scene. Verse 4 says, You shall not make for yourself a carved image. Imagine a sculptor's hands, right? He's about to bring a chisel down on a block of wood to make a statue. But just as the tool is about to hit, this brilliant light from above just freezes it in midair. The message is clear. Don't worship something your own hands made. Then verse 5 keeps going. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the 3rd and 4th generations. For this, picture a dark, tangled root system growing from a poison tree, spreading out and messing up all the smaller trees around it. It's a really stark visual of how our choices have consequences for a long, long time. But then look at verse 6, but showing mercy to thousands, to those who love me and keep my commandments. Now that blinding light from before, picture it turning into this warm, golden river, just flowing endlessly from the throne, bringing life to everything it touches.
On to verse 7. This is all about misusing God's name. For this, imagine someone signing a super important contract, but they're using disappearing ink. The signature looks real for just a second, and then it fades away to nothing. Using God's name in vain is just like that. It's attaching his powerful, permanent name to something that's empty, or false, or just totally meaningless. It's treating something sacred like it's disposable.
All right, now we get to a rule that builds a rhythm into life itself, starting in verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. To remember this, see a giant calendar page for the week. 6 of the days look normal, but that 7th day is glowing, circled in gold. Verse 9, 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. Okay, now picture those 6 days in fast motion, plowing, building, weaving, just a blur of activity. Verse 10, but the 7th day is the Sabbath. In it you shall do no work. And suddenly, the fast motion just stops. The scene becomes this beautiful, still image of a family just resting peacefully under a big tree as the sun sets. And finally, verse 11 tells us why. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and rested the 7th day. Now our mental camera zooms way out, past the sky into deep space, and we see the planet Earth being formed, followed by this great cosmic stillness. The command to rest is literally built into the fabric of creation.
So verse 12 shifts our focus from God to our family. Honor your father and your mother. To really see this, picture a young, strong tree growing right beside 2 older, more established trees. The young tree's roots are all intertwined with the parent tree's roots, and that's where it gets its stability and strength. And the verse connects this honor to a promise, that your days may be long upon the land. The visual couldn't be clearer. Strong roots lead to a long life.
Now for verse 13. The rule is short, but its meaning is just infinite. You shall not murder. Imagine a single, fragile, vibrant red thread stretched across a black screen, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. Then, picture a pair of scissors just snipping it, right in the middle.
This command is the ultimate protection of that sacred thread of life.
Verse 14, this one protects the sacred bond of marriage. You shall not commit adultery. For this, just see 2 golden wedding rings perfectly interlocked, shining bright. Then a shadow falls over them, and a third shadowy hand comes into the frame and tries to pry them apart. This rule is like a shield, guarding that covenant from being broken.
We're at verse 15 now, a foundational rule for any just society. You shall not steal. Picture a really clear property line drawn in the sand between 2 houses. One person's hand reaches over that line to grab something that isn't theirs. But as soon as it crosses, the line itself starts to glow fiery red, like an alarm. This rule protects personal boundaries and what's yours.
Verse 16 moves on from protecting our stuff to protecting our reputation. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Imagine a person standing up in a courtroom. When they speak, their words don't come out as sound. They come out as sharp, jagged stones that fly from their mouth and actually hit another person, wounding their character. It's such a powerful picture of how lies cause real physical harm.
And finally, verse 17, the 10th rule. And this one is so different. It deals with a thought, a desire inside of you. You shall not covet. To lock this in, picture someone looking out their window. Their eyes fix on their neighbor's house. And as they stare, this green, envious mist starts to seep from their eyes and drifts over to their neighbor's property, trying to mentally grab everything it touches, the house, the family, the animals. This rule goes right to the root of the problem, that dangerous wanting that leads to all the other broken rules.
And just like that, the 10 declarations are complete. Silence hangs in the air for just a moment, but the show isn't over, not by a long shot. It's actually about to get even more intense.
The reaction from the crowd, it isn't quiet reflection. It's pure, overwhelming terror. They have just experienced something that their bodies and their minds can barely even process. Let's really build the scene from verse 18. This is a full-on sensory overload. You've got blinding flashes of lightning that leave spots in your vision. You've got that deafening thunder that shakes your whole body. And on top of that, there's a piercing trumpet blast that seems to come from everywhere at once. And the mountain itself is just belching smoke. Now picture the people's reaction. They are literally trembling, stumbling backwards, trying to get as far away as they possibly can. This whole experience leads them to beg Moses in verse 19. Picture a group of people, faces pale with fear, frantically telling him, "You go! Don't let God speak to us directly, or we will die." Verse 20 says Moses tries to reassure them, but the fear is just too much. And that leads to this incredible image in verse 21. See it like a split screen. On the left side, an entire nation is running away from the mountain. But on the right side, you see the lone figure of Moses. He turns and walks directly into the thick, terrifying darkness where God is. Okay, so after the huge universal laws and that overwhelming display of power, the instructions suddenly get incredibly specific and, well, down to earth. Now that you've heard from this God, how exactly do you approach him in worship?
Let's break this down. Verse 22 is a reminder. You have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. The mental image here is simple. You're looking up, confirming the voice came from above, not from some statue on the ground. Then verse 23 really doubles down on that earlier rule. You shall not make gods of silver or gods of gold. For this, just picture a beautiful gold statue and a shiny silver one. Now see a giant red X get stamped right over both of them. The message is simple. Don't you dare create a substitute.
The last 3 verses give us the blueprint for an altar, and it's surprisingly simple. Verse 24 says, "An altar of earth you shall make for me." So just picture someone piling up a mound of rich, dark soil. That's it. It's humble. It's natural. Verse 25 adds, "If you make me an altar of stone, you shall not build it of hewn stone." So now you see someone just picking up natural, uncut field stones and stacking them. No chisels, no carving, no human ego involved. And finally, verse 26, "Nor shall you go up by steps to my altar." Visualize a simple, ground-level altar. There are no grand staircases to climb. The path to God is meant to be humble and direct.
And there it is, from the thunder on the mountain to a simple pile of dirt. A journey through a chapter that was designed to be seen, to be felt, and to be remembered. These rules were first carved into stone, but the question that echoes through all this time is, after all these years, which of these scenes, which of these rules, do we find permanently carved into our own lives today?